My Health Matters is a flagship initiative of Global Health and Community Services, Inc. This monthly one-hour forum aims to educate and inspire communities across the globe. My Health Matters provides culturally relevant health information, resources, and tools to get the best quality health care, access to some of the top health experts. Each episode will highlight the healthcare issues that disproportionately affect many communities, while also providing action steps to help us heal. My Health Matters.
Noon. I am Dr. Lewis Hines, the chairman of the Medical and Health Committee of the Florida Statewide Organization of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Today's program is being recorded. This television program is being brought to you by Global Health and Community Service, Inc. and the Florida Statewide Organization of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Our platinum sponsor is the Quantum Foundation of West Palm Beach, Florida. We also recognize as sponsors the TED Center, Healthier Boynton Beach, Truist, non-for-profit First, Epsilon Gamma Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated of Huntsville, Alabama, and Alpha Alpha Epsilon Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority of Wellington, Florida. Thank you for joining us today, and let us get started. I present to you today's moderator, Ms. Kitty London, who has been recognized as Legacy Magazine as one of South Florida's most influential and prominent Black women. Here's Kitty.
Well, thank you, Dr. Hines, for that wonderful introduction. As he said, my name is Kitty London. Everyone, I am so honored to be the host of My Health Matters. And it's really ironic that today is my first time hosting the show, and we are going to discuss healthy topics like nutrition, fitness, and healthy eating. I think God is trying to tell me something. I'm just saying. But anyway, we're going to get on to the show really quick. But I remember as a child, I was told that an apple a day keeps the doctor away, and you are what you eat. So we do have physicians that are going to tell me the truth on that topic, and also a list of panelists that are going to tell us the ins and outs of eating healthy. And we're going to start in just one moment. But before we do this, I must acknowledge our production team, KOP Mentoring, Nilsansky Noel, and C. Ron Allen. And if you are watching this wonderful show today and you have questions for a panelist, please text the questions to 561-600-2576. Again, that's 561-600-2576. You see that right on your screen. Okay, we're going to start with our warm introductions because we have manners. And we have no other than State Representative Darren Toston. Thank you, Darren. Take it away.
Good afternoon. And on behalf of the 7 Districts Florida Statewide Organization of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, I thank you for joining us this afternoon for today's discussion on nutrition, fitness, and healthy eating. There are so many benefits associated with having a healthy diet and exercise, and I'm excited to hear from our speakers today. Thank you to our Medical and Health Initiatives Committee, our partners, Global Health and Community Services, our sponsors, our distinguished speakers, and all our guests that have joined us this afternoon for this discussion. We hope you enjoy.
Thank you, State Representative. And our next beautiful greeter is Justine Hampton. Welcome, Justine.
It's my to welcome all of you to Global Health and Community Service, Inc. webinar on nutrition, fitness, and healthy eating. We are committed to conducting programs, webinars, workshops, and structured events that educate, reinforce, and inform the public on health-related issues that most impact low-income and underserved populations, not only in Palm Beach County, the state of Florida, but in the United States, and ultimately it affects the world. Global Health and Community Service, Inc. believe when you educate a community, you educate a population. So please sit back and enjoy the webinar and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Justine. I almost feel like I should be doing the Queen's Wave for our next guest who's going to do our warm welcome. We have Miss Intercontinental Jamaica 2022, Welcome, Chevelle Kavanaugh.
Hi, my name is Chevelle Kavanaugh, and yes, I am the reigning Miss Intercontinental Jamaica 2022. I am so honored to be amongst the conversation today where we will discuss nutrition, fitness, and healthy eating. So today's is quite a privilege because we'll not only be talking on these matters, but we'll learn ways how we can manage our A1C levels, that's our diabetes levels, our body mass index, our cholesterol, our waist size, because that's a big deal, fitting into those genes, of course, and the crushing one, which is our weight. So it's always okay to eat and all of our favorite foods, but what happens afterwards? I'm pretty sure that we all feel that effect. What am I going to do next? Well, we'll now learn how to manage or how to get started with our exercise programs from this panel of judges, and by the end of the conversation, hopefully we can start our own fitness program or our own nutritional diet, of course. Again, my name is Chevelle Kavanaugh, and I thank you for joining us today. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Chevelle. See, I think she was talking to me. I heard waistline and weight. I didn't get COVID, but I did get the 19, and that's a 19 pounds. So I hope that I'm going to get some good information so I can start getting that summer body. But before we get into the show, I want to introduce really quick our panelists, and they are all experts. First, we have Barbara Williams, who is a certified health coach who specializes in diabetic health or preventive health. She's also a registered nurse in dialysis, ICU, OBGYN, and home health. Welcome to the show, Ms. Williams. Next, we have Taranisha Burgess. She's a certified family nurse practitioner and founder and chief executive officer of Vital Vita Wellness and Med Spa, where she specializes in wellness, weight loss, and beauty. Isn't she beautiful, y'all? Welcome, Taranisha Burgess, to the show. Next up, you just heard her, the queen, Chevelle Kavanaugh. In April 2022, Chevelle was crowned Miss International Jamaica. She starts the week on Sunday mornings for many listeners in the island's radio land. Then she dives into her weekdays as a sports and massage therapist. Thank you very much for joining us, Chevelle. Next up, we have Dr. Brian Dawkins. He is a medical doctor at Lakeside Medical Center, where he treats patients on a variety of medical conditions. Dr. Dawkins received his bachelor's in science and electrical engineer. And I had to read that off because I love people who can hold dual degrees. My hat's off to you, Dr. Dawkins, for that. Also, he is a doctor of basically medicine degree of, and also Howard University. I had to read that off. I'm sorry for everybody else, but I had to read that off. Thank you, Dr. Duncan, for joining us. Dr. Dawkins for joining us. Next up, we have Dr. France Osei, who is an established and active physician in Fort Lauderdale for the past 9 years. For the past 3 years, Dr. Osei has been a vice chair for the internal medicine department at Broward General Hospital. Dr. Osei is he's very active in his community, serving the underserved African Americans in Fort Lauderdale area. Welcome, Dr. Osei, to the show. Now, before we get in the show, we have to do what pays the bills. We have a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. This is Kitty London, and I'm your host for My Health Matters TV, brought to you by Global Health and Community Services and the Florida statewide organization of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. We have an exciting with a variety of topics that will make you say, have you more educated on your health, and hopefully convince you to make your next checkup. Please make sure you join us this Saturday at noon as we discuss nutrition and healthy eating. And then it does not just stop there. In August, we're going to talk about hypertension and heart disease. You know, that silent killer that we need to make sure our numbers are right. September, men, make sure you check in because we're going to discuss prostate cancer and treatment options. October, sickle cell disease and the sickle cell trait. I have it, so I want to make sure that you are more aware on the community and what's going on with sickle cell. In November, when we eat so much, we're going to talk about nutrition again, but also talk about diabetes and the treatment. In December, make sure all my couples check in, because when you think the thrill is gone, it does not necessarily mean that. We are going to discuss ED, which is erectile dysfunction. Now, you want to know how can you join us? Well, I am glad you asked. I want you make sure you check in on Global Health Foundation on Facebook, and that's Global Health Foundation on Facebook, and also KOP Mentoring Network on YouTube. So we cannot wait to see you, and hopefully we can all learn together so we're more educated on health. See you then.
Vital Vita Wellness offers a variety of services to help with your weight loss journey. We provide a full health evaluation and physical exam. Our weight loss program is tailored to each individual. Our weight loss packages include full body measurements, blood work, EKG, appetite suppressant, nutritional supplements, nutrition counseling, exercise planning, B12 injections, vitamin infusions. We also have minimal invasive treatments such as ultrasonic cavitation, laser lipo, and liquid lipo to get you looking and feeling good. We have a professional, medically trained staff that cares about you reaching your goals. Don't delay. Get started today. Book at www.vitalvitawellness.com or call 561-247-7732. Vital Vita Wellness. Don't delay. Get started today.
Thank you. That was great. And Chevelle, I'm actually writing down some of the stuff that I saw. And Tara, I need to find out how to get some of that liquid lipo, but we're going to talk about that. So now we're going to bring all of our wonderful panelists in, because we are going to pick the brains of all the doctors and all the expert panelists as they come in the room. Thank you. So I'm going to start off with the doctors first, because I think we really need to start with baseline and find out why some of us are having issues with weight loss and checking our A1C. So Dr. Osi, I'm going to start with you first. I have a question. Why am I fat? Do you get that question a lot from patients when they come in and say, you know what, doctor, I don't eat a lot? Because I think people think when people are obese, they just don't put the fork down, but I think that's furthest from the truth. So can you tell us really quick on some things where you see where patients are slightly obese or obese and they have other medical problems that basically make that happen for them?
Okay, yeah, this is not a one size fits all answer to this. Why am I fat? To your point, it could be a thyroid issue. So as physicians, we have to make sure we rule out any other causes of why their metabolism may be not as fast as it should be. Then we address the eating factor. So we try to address any organic causes, whether it's thyroid or some other types of autonomic dysfunction within the body. Once we rule that out, then we figure out how active they are and what are their eating habits and how they like to eat, and what they like to eat. Sometimes it's not so much eating a lot. Sometimes it's when you eat. It's not good to eat at night, especially if food was rich in carbohydrates and you're going to bed. Sometimes you have shift workers that I treat. They were corrections, they were police officers, they work night shift, they get home or they get at midnight, they go to sleep, eat, and then they find that they're gaining weight, even though they're not eating a lot. So it's your metabolism as well as your eating habits that plays a part in whether you lose the weight or keep the weight going. As you get older, your metabolism tends to slow down as well. So it's very important to know that we have to be very mindful as we age. We do not need to eat as much as we did when we were younger because our metabolism is slowing down.
You are really hitting below the belt there, aren't you? I put a couple jabs there. Can people actually be allergic to carbs? You hear people say that, like, I feel like I'm allergic to bread. Like I eat bread and I gain 5 pounds. Is that something that really happens to people?
I don't know if it's if they have gluten allergies. So that may be that. Carbs, there's different. There's rice. There's oatmeal. There's potatoes. So there's good carbs and not bad carbs. There's processed foods. I tend to lean on things you can cook. Like potatoes or more organic foods that it won't be as starchy. So when you're eating carbs, it's not just the bread and the rice and the pasta. You could eat more like a sweet potato, baked potato, or yams, or other types of carbs that are not as starchy and won't leave you as bloated. So I don't think allergic to carbs. It depends. If it's bread, it could be maybe they can have a gluten allergy, wheat allergy, or grains. It may be something to the grain they may have allergy to. And a lot of people now, a lot of manufacturers or even menus in restaurants have gluten-free diets on their menu for people that have those insensitive to eat, to be able to tolerate gluten.
All right, thank you. So, Dr. Dawkins, I have a question for you. I know Dr. Osi mentioned, for example, blood work routine. How often should we get a routine blood work, and what are things that we find out in our blood work that determines, for example, our obesity, BMI, diabetes? Can you just give us some education on that?
Yes, and thank you for having me. So you should be getting yearly checkups. So every year, once a year, visit your primary care provider, whether it's a family doctor, internal medicine physician. And during this checkup, they're going to check your vitals. They'll check your blood pressure, your temperature. They'll also check your weight. So at that point, we can figure out what your BMI is. We often will do a physical exam. We'll listen, make sure there's obviously no murmurs, your lungs sound good. Listen to the heart, make sure everything's good. And then the blood work. So typically we do check your electrolytes. We'll check, make sure you're not anemic. We can also screen for diabetes. One of the tests, as you mentioned, an A1C, that's a measure of your blood sugar over the last 3 months. And so if it's elevated beyond a certain point, we can say that for sure you're diabetic. Another test that we do is your glucose level. And so depending on how high it is, because a lot of times we say, we want you to fast before you take the test. We can see how high your fasting glucose is. Dr. Osi had mentioned, thyroid, so we can check your thyroid levels, and a whole host of other tests depending on how you present to your physician. But typically we'd test annually. One of the other tests we do is your lipid panel. So we look at cholesterol levels, and then we can make recommendations based on what we find.
Great. Now, are there any other tests that patients should be advocates for themselves? I know that's like the normal test. And you did mention also BMI, which is the body mass index. This is kind of like a 2-part question. So with that, I know it's trending for us to want to be thick, right? You're like, I'm thick, I'm not fat, I'm thick. But what is the difference between being thick and being unhealthy? Also, if I'm not feeling well or there's other things, how can you basically have those conversations with your doctor for them to say, maybe we need to do other testing as well?
Yes, and that's a great question. So as a physician, we're here to help. And, we obviously went to school, we studied a lot. So the more clues you give us is the more we can help you. And so if very specific, write something down when you go to a physician. So if you're, for instance, if you're feeling like I'm just putting on weight, I don't have a lot of energy, that would point us more towards maybe your metabolism's lower, check thyroid. For a male, over 40, we probably could even test testosterone levels. So, it depends on how you present. In terms of you saying being thick and BMI. So, the body mass index is kind of a guide. Obviously, if you have more muscle mass, the body mass index is going to be off. It's going to be skewed because it's based primarily on weight. And so a lot of times we can measure the circumference around your waist and other measurements to kind of see if you're healthy rather than just a body mass index. So, again, write down what your complaints are when you visit your physician, and we can, address each thing individually, each patient individually, and we can go from there.
All right, I have one more question for the doctors. I'm going to move on to the ladies. Dr. Osi, when patients come in and, when you ask questions like your family history, unfortunately, a lot of people don't know their family history, and sometimes they could be the first one in their family to experience these things. Is it best just to be honest? Like, I don't know my dad's diabetic history or cancer history or things like that. Should we just say, I don't know, rather than say no, because that helps you as a doctor as well?
Yes, absolutely. And to piggyback up what Dr. Dawkins says, we're here to help. The more we know, the more we can dig in and to see if there is a hereditary predisposition to breast cancer or to prostate cancer. But if you don't know, then we'll have a clean slate, and we're still going to do the necessary tests. But for example, if a patient comes to me and they said, well, my dad had colon cancer at 40 or 45 premature, then that would accelerate that person to get a screening earlier than the usual guidelines. So that helps when we do have it. But if we don't, the more you could give us, the more we can help. But we're still going to do a thorough head-to-toe background workup with anyone as it relates to family history. But or diabetes as well, or any type of, especially the Black Americans, we tend to have sickle cell. So a lot of times we don't know if we have a sickle cell trait or anemia. You can have the sickle cell trait and not know it. So that's another test in addition that we tend to do in African American is do a sickle cell screen if they have, if it wasn't done early on by the pediatrician. But as an adult, definitely if they've never been to a physician, and we see they're anemic and they're not bleeding, we would kind of do a sickle cell panel just to make sure we're not missing that as well.
Thank you very much, Dr. Osi. So my next question is Chevelle. I know you spoke in regards to our midsections. And we've been sitting down for the past 2 years. Most people have been on Zoom. They haven't had any reason to leave the house because of the pandemic. And we did pick on weight. Like I said, I didn't get COVID, but I got the 19. Do you think that people are simply moving not enough right now? And how often should we move when it comes to exercise?
To be entirely honest, no, we're not moving as we should, because there's technology, especially during the pandemic. So I guess we adapt to this lazy mindset that, okay, I'll do it later on, time to exercise, something else comes up. You're not going outside because we're still in a pandemic, but at the same time, there's something that is so entertaining on the TV, or it's on your tablet, or it's on your phone. So we create a lot of excuses to avoid exercising because it's so exhausting. But the thing is, when you get started, at least 5 days in, you don't want to stop. It becomes a routine, because naturally it takes about 66 days to form a good habit and 24 to break it. It's harder to form a habit than to break it. So when we consider these things, this is where that planning comes into play in every aspect of our lives. Whether we're able to go outside or not, we have to know what to prioritize. So our health is very important. We can all agree with that. So we have to prioritize our health. We don't want to do it. We prefer to sit down, watch TV, eat a lot of snacks. But when it's time to go outside, I'm pretty sure you want to fit in that nice outfit. Mm-hmm. You want others to see you and be like, how did you manage to maintain that body? It's all about the motivation. So when you prioritize your health, you're motivated intrinsically. So you have to find ways extrinsic on the outside now to be motivated, to get back to that, 32? Size 32, size 24, whichever. It does.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're targets. They're targets that we set. And it doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to be a big margin. Start small until you're able to climb each step just to where you need to be. But once you're not lazy to the idea, so you prioritize it all, I think you should be set.
Great. So, just really quick, too, for people who are intimidated by exercise, because I know it's hot, the gym can be intimidating. What small exercises do you recommend for people who are just not active at all?
For people who are not just active, I would say that do the simple things. If you can walk to the gas station, walk. Not saying you're gonna walk with a vehicle now. Walk with the gas and then take it back to your vehicle. But if you can do like simple things, like instead of riding a bike, because sometimes riding a bike is not so efficient as walking in some cases. But it's always better to start small, as I said. So when you walk, you start to increase the heart rate slowly because it takes baby steps to get where you need to be. Nothing rushed will last, especially when it comes to your health. Because you can't go into one deficit and not be allowing your body to starve of other things as well. So when you consider all of these things, then yes, you need to start small until you get there.
Great. Great advice. Now, I know the doctors mentioned earlier in regards to blood work, and I know in some cases you can find things like vitamin deficiencies in your blood work that can cause some issues that you may have. Tara, I saw your beautiful commercial, and you had something in that drip. I know it was something magical in that drip. Can you talk about what you offer at your spa and how it can help us have more energy?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Yeah, so what you saw in the video was one of our vitamin infusion, which is called the Ultimate Infusion. So the Ultimate Infusion has amino acids, a B complex, vitamin C, and other minerals such as selenium, copper, and zinc, and magnesium, and B12. So with the vitamin infusion, it does provide energy, but it also hydrates your body as well. Because sometimes when we're going out our day, we don't drink enough water, and nor do we get enough nutrients in our food. And some of us we don't take supplements like we should. And if we are taking our supplements, our gut health is not as good. So our body is not fully absorbing those nutrients. So that's why vitamin infusion is recommended, because it does go straight to your bloodstream. Your body's able to absorb the vitamins a lot faster. So my clients that are vitamin deficient, they're not taking enough vitamins, getting nutrition. We do recommend vitamin infusions for those clients. And sometimes we may think that we're really hungry, we're starving. Sometimes it's dehydration, and we just counteract it with just eating, not knowing that, hey, I haven't had a bottle of water in the last 3 days, or I haven't had no water in a month. All I've been doing is drinking soda, carbonated beverages, which is depleting you. And we don't have enough nutrients in our food to support us. So for me, I do recommend clients doing vitamin infusion, especially when it comes to weight loss, because as weight loss, you do lose nutrients as you lose weight. Then you have the B complex that help detoxify your body to assist you in the weight loss. And going back to exercises, clients don't exercise because they don't have energy. So they go to the gym, and that one day at the gym completely knocks them on the ground. So you have the vitamin infusion to help recover them, their muscles, to relax their muscles, to give them energy for the next day. So for the clients, I do recommend them, especially they're going to start the exercise regimen, at least start with a B12 injection, so you can at least have that energy to maybe exercise once a day. Always at least say start with once a day with exercising and work your way up. Don't overdo it, but just try to start with something. So the vitamin infusion offer a variety of benefits, not only nutrient depletion as well.
And do you have any advice quickly too for people who need to plan healthy? I know that they say if you plan healthy meals, you're less likely to cheat or fall off. Do you have any suggestions to start off like a week or so just with healthy eating habits?
So I at least say start off with one meal a day. because it becomes a little overwhelming for a client to try to plan out 3 meals a day. Okay, I have to eat this for breakfast, I eat this for lunch, I have to eat this for dinner. At least start off with breakfast. What can I eat for breakfast to make me healthier, whether it's the oatmeal or a granola bar, or whether it's yogurt. You want to at least start with 1 meal a day, and clients become more consistent with that versus trying to think of 3 meals a day. Then we'll advance them to, okay, let's try 3 meals a day after you have been consistent with breakfast. Because if you don't plan out your meals, you tend to eat junk. Like, okay, I'm really starving right now. Let me go to a fast food place and just pick up something. And usually it's not a good choice because you're not looking at the healthy side. You're looking at something fulfilling right now because your body is like starving. So when you do plan out your meals, you tend to make better choices when it comes to your food.
Great. And Dr. Dawkins, really quick, mention exercise. See, I'm not sure how in depth you get with your patients in regards to exercise. And I know sometimes people have other physical issues, but do you recommend that your patients walk, run, go to the beach? How much exercise do you recommend your patients have daily?
Yes, good question. So the current guidelines is 150 minutes per week for cardiovascular activity. And when we mean cardiovascular activity, you want to get your heart rate up to a point where, almost like you're sweating. And so you want to do that at least a week. So you can split it up, 3 50-minute sessions, 5 30-minute sessions, however you want to do it. But you want to kind of do some cardiovascular activity a week. It's shown to improve outcomes in diseases. So I do recommend that to my patients. As Burgess said, that people are often low energy. You can't really recommend the cardiovascular activity without proper sleep, proper diet. So it's more of a lifestyle change. So you kind of have to address the whole thing at once, rather than just the exercise and activity in a nutshell. It comes all together, because you won't have the energy if you try to be active and you're sleeping 2-3 hours a day. You're not going to have the energy. And if you're not eating properly, you're definitely not going to have the energy. And obviously, if you're eating junk food and you don't have the proper nutrition, you don't have the correct vitamins, and electrolytes are off, you're definitely not going to have the energy. So one can't be done without the other. And so you kind of have to, approach all at the same time and try to make, lifestyle changes. And that's actually the recommendations for obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, hyperlipidemia or high cholesterol. The first treatment is lifestyle changes.
And Dr. Osi, I have a question for you too. I know before any diet, most professionals will say check with your doctor before any diet. And now, we have trending diets now. We have keto diet, we have intermittent fasting, things like that. But why do you think it's important for your patients to come to you first before they start any of these diets?
Yes, good question. A lot of time these diets, it's not for everyone. Some patient may have predisposed, like for example, somebody can be diabetic. So if you're doing a keto diet, you could throw your blood sugar spikes. It could be out of whack. So that's why I never tend to recommend these diets to people, because I know there's times where people want to lose weight real quick, whether they have a reunion, a wedding dress to fit into, or an event to get. But I think, like this panel have all mentioned, is proper nutrition and understanding exercise, rest, and eating. And I think the slow and progress lifestyle change versus a quick diet is more sustainable. Because I've seen a lot of people do these keto diets and then they put it back on. So the thing is, a lot of times these diets, people, they lose the weight, but they didn't know how they did it. So in essence, when you understand what you're doing, if I eat this donut, that's 400 calories. Do I really want to spend 30 minutes on the treadmill to take off this? So you understand the cost benefit of eating healthy and things like that. I think there's more understanding when you take ownership of your health, understand nutrition and how it integrates sleep, eating the right foods, drinking water, hydrating, not being dehydrated, how that all ties in. Once you understand what you're doing, I think it's better than a diet. And also, so yes, I would say when you do diets, you have to make sure you do get a lab work to make sure that it's not going to throw your electrolytes out of order, your potassium levels, or any type of stuff out of whack, because it could throw it off. But you lose the weight, but you have to make sure that your labs are in order.
You mentioned a key word, sleep, and we are going to get back to that once we go for our commercial break, because that's very important. I don't think we're getting enough sleep, and I'm going to find out how much sleep we need when we come back. Thank you.
Vital Vita Wellness offers a variety of services to help with your weight loss journey. We provide a full health evaluation and physical exam. Our weight loss program is tailored to each individual. Our weight loss packages include full body measurements, blood work, EKG, appetite suppressant, nutritional supplements, nutrition counseling, exercise planning, B12 injections, vitamin infusions. We also have minimal invasive treatments such as ultrasonic cavitation, laser lipo, and liquid lipo to get you looking and feeling good. We have a professional, medically trained staff that cares about you reaching your goals. Don't delay. Get started today. Book at www.vitalvitawellness.com or call 561-247-7732. Vital Vita Wellness. Don't delay. Get started today.
Hello, everyone. This is Kitty London, and I'm your host for My Health Matters TV, brought to you by Global Health and Community Services and the Florida statewide organization of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. We have an exciting lineup of shows with a variety of topics that will make you say, have you more educated on your health, and hopefully convince you to make your next checkup. Please make sure you join us this Saturday at noon as we discuss nutrition and healthy eating. And then it does not just stop there. In August, we're going to talk about hypertension and heart disease. You know, that silent killer that we need to make sure our numbers are right. September, men, make sure you check in because we're going to discuss prostate cancer and treatment options. October, sickle cell disease and the sickle cell trait. I have it, so I want to make sure that you are more aware on the community and what's going on with sickle cell. In November, when we eat so much, we're going to talk about nutrition again, but also talk about diabetes and the treatment. In December, make sure all my couples check in, because when you think the thrill is gone, it does not necessarily mean that. We are going to discuss ED, which is erectile dysfunction. Now, you want to know how can you join us? Well, I am glad you asked. I want you make sure you check in on Global Health Foundation on Facebook, and that's Global Health Foundation on Facebook, and also KOP Mentoring Network on YouTube. So we cannot wait to see you, and hopefully we can all learn together so we're more educated on health. See you then.
All right, we are back. So Dr. Osi, before we left, we were talking about sleep or the lack thereof. How much sleep can a person get to help them as far as their weight loss or just being healthy? What do we need? How many hours do we need?
Ideally, they recommend 8 hours of sleep. But, I don't know how many of us actually get 8 hours of sleep, especially if you have kids, pets, and crazy work hours. But I think between 7 to 8 hours would be ideal to recover, let your body rest, and to be able to be as optimal as possible, to be able to live a healthy lifestyle, work, and exercise, and carry on with other activities that you have in your day.
All right. Thank you. And I have two questions for the ladies that are coming up, but I need to ask Dr. Dawkins something real quick. When you have a patient that comes in and they're thin, they look healthy, can we talk about the myths of looking healthy because you're thin and actually not being healthy because you're not healthy?
Sure. Yeah. So, we have several patients that, they're not obese, but obesity is just one condition of many. I mean, you have down the line from high blood pressure to diabetes to, I know we mentioned, we check your thyroid if you don't have energy. There's another condition called hyperthyroidism, where your thyroid is overactive and you lose weight. And that's also a disease that can cause a lot of problems. So just because of your body habitus that you don't have a lot of weight, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're well. You still need an annual checkup. You still need to get a proper physical exam, and just to make sure everything is okay. So it is a myth that because I'm not overweight, my weight's good, I don't have to go to the doctor. And part of the reason that I'm a family physician. Part of the reason that we recommend going to the doctor is that we can do something about it. So if you do have one of these underlying conditions, we can actually change the outcome versus you 5-10 years down the road and you show up and you see me in the hospital. I'm like, unfortunately, there's not much we can do at this point. If we catch it early, we can actually change the outcome.
Great. Thank you. We have a question from the audience. It sounds like me. It sounds like I text this question, but it says, I grew up eating bread and I am being told that I need to eliminate bread from my diet. Are there any other options for me since bread is like water to my diet? So I'm going to give that question to Tara, and I know Chevelle looks like she wants to answer it too. So I know you both probably can answer it. So let's start with Tara. Can you answer that really quick for us? An alternate to bread, if there's any.
Yes. So bread is a carbohydrate that can lead to weight gain. And sometimes people do have allergy or they have a food sensitivity to bread as well. So instead of white bread, choosing wheat bread as an option, and also your portion control, because sometimes we can still diet, but we don't have portion control. So if you're eating 10 pieces of bread for one meal, that's a problem. Then also, like I said, going back to hydrating yourself, because you continue to nibble, you could be dehydrated. So also making sure you hydrate yourself. That's a big thing when it comes to weight loss and portion control when it comes to bread. Just don't overdo the bread. And also an alternative is wheat bread versus white bread.
All right, Chevelle.
To piggyback on what I said, limiting your portion sizes when you eat bread, when you're consuming bread rather, and also switching to wheat is always a safer bet. As for me, I eat bread like once a month, and I don't go beyond 2 slices. So when I say that, a lot of people look at me like I'm weird, as though I'm trying to remain thin. That's not the case. It's going to mess up my entire fitness routine if I go overboard with it, because there was a time when I was a chronic bread eater and it wasn't boding so well for me. Apparently, I'm allergic to something within the hard dough bread. I had to switch over to wheat. And then I decided, you know what? Before I develop another problem, let's just limit my portion intake. The same with rice. I don't eat rice more than once for the month. It tends to add a lot more on the waist, and I'm not trying to add too much on my waist. So these are the things that you consider. Portion sizes is a big deal, and also you need to stay hydrated.
Great. And Chevelle, we have another question from you from the audience. What exercise program do you use to prepare for a competition?
So I will give myself at least 2 weeks break from exercising, and then because within this 2 weeks, I'm preparing a me versus me challenge. So I find my areas that I'm lacking. So if it's a case that I am okay with muscular endurance, but I'm lacking where it concerns cardio, I decide to challenge myself the first 2 weeks of my 21-day challenge, mostly on incorporating both cardio and muscular endurance within my workout. So if you're a beginner, I would just say start small. You don't need more than 15 minutes of workout. The best place to start, especially now, because let's face it, we all get lazy to the idea of exercising. The best place to start is with aerobics or Zumba or Pilates, because it's shorter and it's high energy, and that's what you need to get the blood flowing, the heart pumping, and at the same time that explosive exercise is also helping your muscles as well to develop endurance.
Great. So if okay, I was making sure I wasn't the bread. Okay, the bread tips. Okay, they said thank you for the bread tips. I want to make sure I wasn't missing anyone. So, for people who are looking at this and saying, you know what, doctors, yeah, I know, I get my blood work. I'm still not losing weight. Then you listen to Chevelle and like, yeah, Chevelle, I'm not going to do Pilates, cardio, or whatever. I'm going to go to Tara because she got liquid lipo. She has a short, fast, simple way. Tarnisha, can you tell us a little bit about that, and who is like good candidates for this? And can you like be really realistic to us, because I like the short way. I'm like the microwave dinner. I want to get it fast off, and then hopefully can maintain it.
So unfortunately, liquid lipo is not a shortcut. You still have to diet with it.
Oh.
Because if you increase your insulin, so just explain what liquid lipo is. So we inject phenethylamine, which is a fat dissolving agent to break it down. And it goes into area where you have fat, which would be your belly fat, your arm fat, your thigh fat. That's what we usually inject it in. And with that, if it's breaking down the fat and you're adding junk food on top of it, it's not going to really help you. So it's just like a waste of time and a waste of money. So you do have to exercise with it. It's just something to give your body that jump start and to help that stubborn fat break down while you diet and while you exercise. So a client, if they come to me and their BMI is elevated, we'll have to start them. Of course, we have to do blood work like the doctors mentioned, and also maybe start them on appetite. Once their blood work comes back good, we can start them on appetite suppressants if they're that person that can't control their portions. So once they get their portions under control, then we'll take them to the liquid lipo step and see how they do well on it. But it's definitely not a shortcut. So it does require a consultation just to see where you at mentally, because some people are not mentally prepared to wait to lose weight. They want that quick, that microwave situation, and you can't get that with liquid lipo. It does require a couple of months so you can see your results. Although the fat dissolving agent does start working immediately, it does take time for you to notice your results.
All right. Thank you for breaking my heart, Tara. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I still have a solution for you.
I know you do. I know you do. Dr. Osi, we have a question, and I have a question for Dr. Dawkins. So we have a question from Jeffrey Jones in the audience. What is the A1C? What is the A1C? And what is the normal level?
A1C, like Dr. Dawkins discussed earlier, is it's a test that measures how controlled your blood sugar has been for the past 3 months. You do it, and usually you want to have it around 6, between 6, 6.5, depending on which guidelines you're going by. But you want to do that as a barometer, especially in diabetic patients. One, it tells us physicians that how controlled you've been. 2, compliant you've been, because they can say, oh yeah, I've been taking my medications. But if your A1C is at 10 and you're taking your medications, that means that you probably have not been taking your medications. 3, also it tells us as the physicians, do we need to make adjustments to your regimen so that way we can better control your diabetes. So definitely, to answer the question, you definitely want to have A1C around 6, and that's the normal level. But A1C is a blood test that we do. It's a beautiful test because it goes back 120 days. It's not just from 2 days ago. A lot of patients come in, they're like, hey, yes, doc, I ran out of medication 2 days ago, but my A1C is a 9. If you've been taking medication, you missed just 2 days, it will not jump up that quick. So it kind of gives us a guideline that how well you've done in the past 3 months.
Thank you. Dr. Dawkins, I'm going to ask you a question, and then we have another question from the audience. I think it was Dr. Osi maybe who mentioned in regards to sometimes we eat late. I know people are busy. Once they sit down, they're eating late. Do you have a recommendation as a cutoff time for people between the time they stop eating to the time that they wake up? I know that kind of helps that intermittent fasting, but can you help us out?
It sounds like a simple question, but it's a little bit more complicated than it is. In terms of when you eat and time to go to sleep, we recommend greater than 2 hours because you kind of can get reflux of the food coming back up from stomach acid. So that's there. In terms of what time to stop eating the night before and what time to start eating again in the morning, typically, someone goes to bed at 9, 10 p.m. They'll wake up at maybe 6 a.m. They've slept for approximately 8 hours. The first meal of the day, you're going to break your fast. Breakfast. That's actually where the name comes from. So that's appropriate, and you want a well balanced meal when you wake up in the morning. So and myself, I've worked nights, so it actually changes. So it really depends on, circadian rhythm and all these different things. But to keep it simple, you don't want to eat sooner than 2 hours before you go to bed, and you want to get at least 8 hours of sleep.
Thank you. I'm glad you mentioned the acid reflux. Hopefully Health Matters. Let me just tell you, producers, just do a show on on that, because acid reflux is a big deal for a lot of people who are suffering with that right now. We have another question, and Tara, I'm going to give it to you because I think you'll be able to answer this on nutrition. It says, I was told to increase my intake of fruit and vegetables. I drink shakes and it doesn't seem to be working. How many servings of fruit and vegetables do you recommend I have per day?
So I recommend 2 to 3 servings of vegetables, fruit and vegetables a day. But it's also, what else are you eating? Because you can just be eating fruits and vegetables, but the ideal question, that's more like a personalized question and more of a consultation, because we have to really dig deep to see, are you eating late? Are you eating 10 o'clock at night? Because if you're eating fruits and vegetables throughout the day and your last meal is at 10 o'clock at night, you're not burning that off. Are you eating breakfast? What is your portion control throughout the day? What is your physical activity level? So you have to ask all those questions. Besides, on the part, I increased my fruit intake and vegetable intake, but did I decrease my portion control? Did I increase my water intake? Did I increase my physical activities? So those are multiple questions to ask yourself besides, hey, I increased my fruits and vegetables and nothing happened.
I love that you mentioned that, because I was told that one time and I went back and there's like, well, how are you doing your fruit intake? I was like, good, apple pie, fruit cake, lemon cake. You said eat, vegetables.
And what are you eating your fruit? Like you said, apple pie.
I'm just saying, right? Listen, he said eat apples. I said apple pie.
And are you eating fresh fruits and vegetables? Because if you're eating processed in a can, that's a problem as well, because you have high sugars, you have sodium that's keeping everything preserved. So try to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables.
I think that's the hardest part when you say that, eating like truly healthy, because, for example, I love collard greens. Collard greens is a great source of iron. But I know Wakanda, what we put in our collard greens may not, be standards to the doctor. Doctors are laughing and they're looking because, we'll put some pig and some good stuff in there to get some seasoning. So how do you, what's your advice on that? Like to cut down on some of that stuff?
So when you're cooking your vegetables, try not to add extra meats. Extra. I know we want our flavors, but you have just basically transferred food into a high calorie product at that moment. It is it is no longer nurturing to your body. You have added sodium to that, sugar, whatever you think whatever you added, you have just compromised the integrity of the food at that point.
Right.
So something that could have been 200 calories is now 3,000 calories.
Yes, you just read my life book. Thank you, Chevelle. I think we have one more question. I mean, we're almost out of time. I cannot believe this. This was fun. I think we need 2 hours. Chevelle, do you use weights in your exercise routine, and if so, how long do you need for strength training?
So I exercise 5 days a week. I use my training twice, and my third gym day, I only use the gym 3 times of the 5. My third gym day is only resistance training with resistance bands because you have different levels of resistance. But in terms of weights, I go with what my body can manage. At present, I can do my body weight, so that's good. But yeah, I wouldn't be telling you what my weight that I can do, but for how long? About 30 minutes. I'm in the gym. I'd recommend start at 5 pounds. Yes, don't go up there to 30 pounds because it looks hyped and it looks like what you need to do because others are doing it. Work your way up.
Thank you for giving us the vote of confidence. Thank you, Chevelle. Thank you, Taranisha. Thank you, Dr. Dawkins, and thank you, Dr. OC. I'm telling you, like, I could have picked your brains another hour, but I know we only have an hour. I think what you've given us is just a wealth of knowledge. What I walked away mostly is for people to definitely do their routine checkups and start with baseline to see what's going on. And then from there, if things are ruled out that it's not that serious, then go to those other, things like the intermittent fast and the keto, whatever you're trying to do. And then also see someone like Tara who can help you get the weight off, but do it in a safe way. And get some of that liquid lipo in your life, get some of those infusions in your life, because we're not eating enough vitamins in our diets. And that's just what it is. So make sure that you check us out every month on My Health Matters. Next month is, well, not this month, but the next month in August, we have a show that's coming up. We're going to give you more information. So please just make sure you keep following us. Thank you so much, you all, for being here today.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
now
you.
we're up. Thank you. Okay, we have Justine up next. You're muted, Justine. You're muted.
Thank you, Kitty. Thank you, distinguished panelists and Kitty. On behalf of Global Health and Community Service, Inc., we would like to thank KOP Mentoring Network, 7th District Florida Statewide Organization of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, Inc., and of course, all of you for participating in today's discussion. We welcome you to visit our website at www.ghacsi.org to view our upcoming 2022 schedule of events. Kitty mentioned our next one will be in August, and it will be on heart disease and hypertension. So thank you all for participating today. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you.